Chapter 1. Dreams come true, buddy. That's what he said. Mr. Drew was no liar. Problem is, yes, dreams come true, but so do nightmares. Package deal. I didn't understand any of that for a long time. To be honest, dreams came true? For who? Rich folks? Sure. My family? Dreams were quick breaks between working your hand to the bone every day. I wish I could really capture what Lower East Side was like summer of 46. I wish I could draw a picture of it. Sidewalks melting into the street and seeping into the sewer grates, steam squiggle lines raising up toward a harsh white sky, big fat juicy drops of water coming off of folks' foreheads, maybe the word sizzle floating in the air. But I can't draw. I have to tell it. I'm trying to remember what I learned from you, Dot. How to write a good story. I have to remember what you used to say. To use all the 5 senses, not just sight. Writing isn't drawing. 5 senses, what were the other 4 again, right? Sound. Kids, laughing, yelling at one each other. Adults, shouting, glass breaking, the sound of fists on flesh. Fights always happen when it got this hot. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, and the brain doesn't work. Turns to pink, sloppy mush inside your skull, sloshing around and ready to pour out your ears. Touch. Your skin was always slick with sweat. Everything under your fingers felt wet because you were wet. There was no way to feel dry. Smell. The air was always stale and still, unable to go up the sides of tall tenement buildings. Mostly smelled of piss. Made you want to throw up. Sometimes you did throw up. Oh, that's another one. The smell of throw up. Taste. Sorry, I can't remember the taste right now. It's too hard. All I can taste is the bitter in my mouth, that lingering taste of ink. Okay, so, you've got it now. It's hot as hell. And it matters that you understand that, because I would have done anything to get out of that kind of heat. Out of this neighborhood. I'd be running between sweatshops for a couple years now. Even ever since Pa died, Ma had taken over sewing per-cut fabrics together. And I had dropped out of school and taken over from my cousin Lenny, delivering finished suits and jackets for the boss, Mr. Schwartz. And then, delivering the new pieces to Ma, so she could do it over again. We needed cash. And the only way I could make Ma smile. I miss Ma's smile. Gentle, calm, warm. The kind that reached all the way to her ears. Not like his smile. Not like his at all. Anyways, I got paid. That's what's important. But I was almost 17 now. And most of the other boys were turning 12. Felt so stupid to be so old doing this job. And so when Mr. Schwartz suggested that I be his go-to delivery guy, and explained I'd get to leave the neighborhood, travel all over the city, of course I said yes. There are green in other parts of the city, trees and shit. The fancy neighborhoods didn't smell like piss. When I brought a finished suit to the Upper East Side, I could walk in the park and dip my feet in the boat like. More important than any of that, I could watch the artists along the mall drawing pictures of tourists, cartoons. I could watch them closely. This is where the problem started. First off, evidently, artists are temperamental. Hey kid, what do you think you're doing? Just watching, sir. Maybe this time I got a bit nearer to the canvas than usual. Well, get out of here with your watching. It was like getting to go to art school, except I bet art school teachers didn't chase you away and tell you that you were scaring off the customers because you're hovering too close. That wasn't the biggest thing. See, something I haven't said was because I guess, well, you know it by now, I'm an artist. Well, now. Then I wasn't. But I wanted to be. I'm not sure why. Maybe it had something to do with my grandfather. Never met him. But when he was still back in Poland. Figured he must love art. After all, that's the one big thing he saved and sent with Ma from the old country, as he called it. So those damn paintings. People were always super surprised when they see these huge oil paintings in a small tenement apartment. She could have sold them for a lot of money, but she didn't. And that always stayed with me. I started by drawing sketches late at night, sleeping in and being late for class. Then I got sent to the principal's office a lot for doodling during the day. And boy, I love the funny pages. I'd run around the neighborhood collecting discarded newspapers, hoping to read the latest Popeye or Dick Tracy. I even started drawing comics, making up adventures with Olive Oil, Prune Face, Spark Plenty. Soon I was inventing my own characters. They weren't funny. I didn't show them to anyone. But then I found the artist in Central Park, and let's just say I got distracted. Hey, you got the suit? Mr. Schwartz would be pretty scary for a man who is only 5 feet tall. I'm sorry, sir. It'll never happen again. I'd only put it down for a second to get a closer look at the drawing. That was enough time for someone else to be sneaky and scoop it up. What about last time, when he was 3 hours late? My client almost didn't make it to his appointment on time. I'm sorry, sir. You wanted me my apprentice? You want to make a good, honest living? I did. I really did. I needed the cash. My mom and I needed the cash. Or my mom and I needed the cash. And no one could hire some teenager from the slums who barely had an education to be Mr. Schwartz's right-hand man. That was more than I could have hoped for. Boy, I felt stupid and ashamed. One more chance, buddy. One more. That's it. One more chance. This was my one last chance. Then I met him. When I first went to the studio to deliver a suit, the clothing bag slung over my right shoulder. There had been a blackout because of the heat. Not just in the studio's tall brick building, but across the rest of the neighborhood. Flashing lights on the theater marquees were still, and I soon passed by the dark sign for a St. Louis woman. 2 stagehands were staring up the building, hands on hips, toothpicks dangling out of their mouths. What now, Steve? Show must go on. That's what they say, alright. Hadn't really crooked in my mind that there's been a blackout until a few blocks later, west when I passed a theater off Broadway, finally arrived at the studio next door. I'd been super focused on getting there, but I was already late. This time it wasn't my fault. It was Subway. I swear. Mr. Schwartz wouldn't know the difference. I had to make up the time, so I was walking around fast and not really noticing much the world around me. But when I stepped into the muddy dark, it jarred me to reality. I just stopped and stood there. It was so black I couldn't even tell which way was up. Then suddenly it was super bright, like someone was shining a light right at me. I held my hands and the light flew off my face as I watched the beam scan the room until I find some great hair older woman sitting behind a huge desk. I jumped, surprised for her to just appear like that. Gosh darn it, Norman, she said, squeezing her eyes shut behind her oversized glasses. Projector's gone out, said Norman in a gruff voice. In case you haven't noticed, the power's out everywhere. Get that flashlight out of my eyes. Then there was a pause, and everything went black again with a click. Blacker. I should say blacker. After the glare from the direct light, it was like not just the flashlight had turned off, but my eyes too. It gave me shivers up my spine. Didn't know what to do. I had to deliver the suit already. I thought I could just remember where the desk was, so maybe I could stumble towards it. Who's the kid? Asked Norman from somewhere. I don't know, Norman. There's the sound of a match scratching on the surface, then a whoomph of a flame coming alive. The old woman's face was distorted grotesquely. Long, drawn-out shadows drooping down as she lit the lantern in her hand. And then there was light. It flickered and danced off the walls. There were framed posters hanging on them. They looked like movie posters, but cartoons. One character in particular, real smiley. Take a closer look. Where was I? Where was this place? Why do you look kind of familiar? Okay, kid. I sees you now. What do you want? Asked the woman, sitting down so low behind the desk only her glasses on top of her head were visible. It wasn't complicated, but I'd forgotten who I was delivering to. Then I looked down, fumbling with the black clothing bag in my arms to find the name. Come closer. Can't hear a damn thing you're saying, said the woman. Her hand appeared over the top of the desk, gave me a sharp wave to come over. I did while I was searching for the name tag. I have a suit, I said, trying to buy time. Uh-huh. Finally, I found the tag. It's the first time his name ever made any kind of impression on me. This is the first time it meant something. All that mattered up until when I got to the studio on time to not get fired. That was the important part. So I knew the address, I knew it was on Broadway, but the name of the guy hadn't been anything I saw in my mind's eye. Hadn't pictured it. Come on, kid. Haven't gone all day. Joey Drew. I'm looking for Mr. Joey Drew. I was looking for... Oh, sorry, wrong character. Who's looking for him? Asked Norman, his voice filled with suspicion. Mr. Schwartz, I blurted out. Wasn't exactly the best answer, but the dark, and this guy's attitude made me nervous for some reason. And somehow, flickering light over that smiling cartoon character didn't help either. Ho? The tailor, the guy who made this suit. I got Joey Drew's suit. I'm the delivery guy with the suit. He's dead. I turned to the man. Standing so far away from the lantern light, he wasn't more than an outline. He is? My heart thudded in my chest. That didn't quite make sense. Also scared me in a strange way I couldn't quite understand. Nah, replied Norman with a laugh. Nah, he ain't. I don't understand, I said, turning back to the old woman. She just shrugged and said, Norman's joke's not really something anyone understands. It was a joke? I looked back at the outline of the man. Norman was still laughing, but it didn't seem like a happy laugh. It didn't make me feel better, that's for sure. Yeah, come with me, he said. His girl's out for the afternoon. You can take it to him personally. I glanced at the woman. She nodded. I figured that was permission to follow the guy, even though, I'll be honest, I didn't really want to. I decided Norman and I were likely never going to get on, you know. The man clicked on his flashlight and led the way down the narrow hall. His beam more direct than the glow from the lantern. All I could really see was his silhouette and the far end where there's an elevator grate. Every once in a while, though, you'd catch a flash of another poster with more cartoon characters. They seemed happy, even in the darkness, but that made me feel the same way as that smiling character in the foyer did. Weird. Can't use the elevator, said Norman. His face was still in shadow, and he nodded, obviously, because the power was out and all. So he pushed through the door next to it. The light flashed on the word stairs. I could have guessed. We started to climb together, Norman's light leading in the way. Every once in a while, though, I'd look back into the pool of blackness. It felt like everything behind me was being erased. Like I had to hurry up or I'd be erased too. I'm just saying, it was really hot. My brain was making up kind of stories. They say that life is stranger than fiction, but I never thought anything could top the strange stuff in my mind. I was wrong. Norman stopped when we reached the third floor. My sweating, can I tell you? My shirt and undershirt were soaked through my hair, matted to my head. There's this drip from the base of my neck, sneaking down under my collar. Here, good, Norman said, handing me the flashlight. What's this for? I know my way back to the booth, and you don't know nothing. Keep going. Good luck. I took the flashlight, and as Norman slipped into the deep shadows, I called out, Keep going where? Up, kid. Up to the damn top. He laughed in the darkness. Man, I did not like that laugh. So here I was, Mr. Drew's suit in one hand, flashlight in the other. Trickle of sweat was working its way down my back to a not-so-happy location. And who knew how many stairs there were ahead of me? I shone the light straight up to try to guess, but where the old wooden stairs seemed like they went on forever, straight to heaven. Flashed the light down, saw the stairs beneath me, going into dark, straight down to... You know where I'm going with this. So I made my way up to those stairs as fast as I could, and made it with what man, it was exhausting, hot. I wasn't sure if I could make it, and maybe it was because of the stairs that any of this happened. But but yeah, because I'll tell you, when I got to the top and came out the doors, the air was even thicker all the way up there. The way heat rises and all, I just collapsed, fell right on the floor, didn't pass out, just fell hard. This loud boom. I guess Mr. Drew heard it because he came out of his office.
Hey, what's with this racket?
Even in my woozy state, his voice impressed me. It was so sure of itself and friendly. I can't tell you what makes a voice sound friendly exactly, but I don't think I'm the only one who would describe it like that. I think that's what made people like him. Trust him. I'm sorry, I said from the floor. I have a delivery for Mr. Joey Drew.
I'm Mr. Joey Drew.
Apologies for changing the voice. I wanted to make it more accurate to the description. He said. A hand materialized in front of me. I was supposed to grab it, so I did. He helped me up.
You okay?
I nodded.
Good.
He didn't let go of my hand right away. Looked at it for a moment, almost like he was examining it. I wasn't really sure what he was doing, but it seemed a bit odd. Finally, he released it and said,
Go into my office, kid.
There were windows up here, so I could see without a flashlight.
Sit. Drink this.
Mr. Drew passed me a cup of warm water as I sat opposite of him and his large wooden desk. I drank it, and it was like it came from a fresh mountain spring.
So,
He asked, leaning in his chair.
who are you and what are you doing here?
I took another big swig of water and then answered his questions. I'm a delivery guy for Mr. Schwartz, and I brought you your suit.
Ah,
Mr. Drew said, slamming his hand hard on his desk, making me jump. I didn't know, then how much he did that. No, I never got used to it, I'll be honest.
that's fantastic. That's the suit. Pass it over.
So I did. And Mr. Drew unbuttoned the bag and nodded. He had this way about him, this over-the-top way, like he was performing on stage so everyone could see even the tiniest of actions. When he approved of something, like he did of the suit, it was the best feeling in the world.
This is swell. This is swell. Just look at that. That's craftsmanship right there.
Well, maybe because I was tired and hot, I don't know. But I said, actually, that's my mom's work. Mr. Drew looked at me. I felt the blood drain from my face. Why'd I say that? I swore inwardly.
Well, she's got skills.
He put the suit down on the desk and leaned forward, looking at me closely, like he was trying to look through my eyes and get into my brain or something.
You got skills, kid.
What?
Your fingers. You're a writer?
He asked. I looked at my fingers. They had ink stains on them, especially my thumb and forefinger. I was used to them being like that. I hadn't remembered that it wasn't normal. I draw sometimes.
You draw sometimes.
He smiled when I said that.
Well, I draw sometimes too.
It was then I actually looked around his office. I was feeling a bit more myself and able to take it all in. The shelves of books, papers, inkwells everywhere, drafting table in the corner, and more posters. Not just posters. Sketches, unfinished drawings with unreadable words next to them, arrows, crosshairs. It was like wallpaper. So much of it all over everything. And the big desk that took up almost the whole back wall, covered in more paper and books. And one tall glass award for something. And a friendly picture of some cartoon characters signed with the name Henry Stein. Whoa, I said. I couldn't help myself.
I get feelings about people, kid. I get feelings. I just know sometimes.
He handed me a piece of paper with a sketch of a smiling cartoon character. I saw some downstairs.
What do you see?
I looked closer. The character didn't seem human. His body was basically an oval with spindly legs and arms coming out from it, but he wore black boots and white gloves. He had a bow tie and everything. His face was round, he had two big black eyes, but no nose. That grin. That wide, toothy grin. Well, I told him what I saw. I see a mischief maker. Someone who had a lot of fun and gets in a lot of trouble, but that's fine. I glanced up at Mr. Drill. He was smiling, almost exactly like the drawing.
Yes, he said, pointing a finger at me. Exactly. You know how many people just say cartoon? But you get it.
I nodded. Sure, I thought. I guess. I looked down again. It was then I noticed the head. It wasn't entirely a circle, but the top kind of looked like when you took a bite out of a cookie. But it was smooth. No teeth marks. Wait, I got it. His head. It had horns. Those were little horns at the top. He's a devil. I heard Mr. Drew push his chair back, scraping along across the wood floor, and watched as he walked around his desk, leaning against it.
Kid, how would you like to work for me? I need a delivery boy of sorts, but just within the building. A gopher. Delivering stuff between departments. Whatever Schwartz is paying you, I'll double it. And I'll make sure you work out of the art department. Kind of like an apprentice. Give you a chance to prove yourself. Just might learn a few things along the way.
At first, I didn't fully process what he was saying. Then when I did, I still didn't believe it. Here, I was worried about Mr. Schwartz. He was going to fire me for my delivery gig, and now I was getting my dream job. Finally, I was able to give the man a smile and shake his hand.
Good,
He said.
Excellent. Well, I'm Joey Drew, and this is my studio, but you can call me Mr. Drew.
Oh, okay, Mr. Drew.
And you are?
Oh, I'm Daniel, sir. Everyone just calls me Buddy, or Bud, or whatever. I don't really care.
Well, nice to meet you, buddy.
He reached out and took the drawing of the character from my hand. He turned around so it was facing me, side by side. They mirrored each other with their big smiles.
And this,
He said, tapping his finger on the picture.
this is Bendy.
This concludes Chapter 1. I hope you enjoy this audiobook.